This is Playtime, and I'm going to be talking about how I believe Revelations 12 tells us when the rapture and the tribulation will begin. I'm going to be talking in the next couple of videos about how I'm going to show 5 different people that got 5 different prophecies of things that were going to happen that are all coming true right now in the next couple of years. And these prophecies, these people had these prophecies like 2,000 years apart from each other, and they were different ones, and they were all Christian related. The first one I'm going to do is the big one. It's John's Revelation 2,000 years ago, and then I'm going to go, and then I'll do 4 more after this. But I'm going to talk about this one because this one's, to me, the biggest one. And I made a video before talking about, I thought Revelations 12, 1 through 6 all happened on September 23rd, 2017. But now I got some new information, and I believe it's a little different, so the time is different. Just trying to figure this out as I go along. None of this stuff is set in stone. I had a date for year 2021, and it's just a little later in the year 2021, so it's not like it came and passed already. Revelation 12, 1 and 2 happened, I believe 100% happened on September 23rd, 2017. So I calculated September 23rd to 1,260 days, because it says right here that the woman fled into the wilderness and she'd be there taken care of for 1,260 days. So I'll go into more why I believe that's when rapture and the tribulation began. But I had the date for March 6, 2021. And I remember doing this when I did it in the video. I looked up the date. I was hoping maybe it was a Christian, maybe Jewish holiday on that day. Not that it would matter, but it just add a little more something to it. And there's no holiday, there's no Christian anything on that March 17th we got here, St. Patrick's Day. But then I found these videos in December last year, and I was going to make this video back then even, but I never did. And it's they talk about how they believe December 17th, 2017 is part of Revelation 12, 3 and 4. And if you look at it and you read it, and it talks about the dragon with the 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns. And it actually happens right here, because you have the 7 heads, 10 crowns, the 7 heads, 10 horns, with Saturn, the sun, the moon, and that. And then you got a crown right above here, the 7 crowns on its head. And this is what happened on December 17th. Now, I don't know if this sign appears a couple years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or it's just now happened in 2017. But the big thing is we just had the September 23rd Revelation 12, 1 and 2 sign. And this was only like 3 months later, and it's the week of Hanukkah also. So that's what makes it so much more important. And there's another video that this guy did in 2013. Even Scotty Clark made a video, I think back in 2013, talking about this sign also. And he made one somewhat recently last year about it too. So people do believe this. I'm not going to go over it any more than that. I would suggest go look at these guys' videos. It's really good, and they explain that. So I had to go and say, well then, if that means Revelations 12, 1 and 2 is September 17th, and Revelations 3 and 4 is December 17th, well then I'm going to also believe that Revelations 12, 5, and 6 is also December 17th. Now, I could be wrong about that, and there could be a date that I see that matches that more clearly, and I'll be like, okay, well then we're going to have to set the date starting there and go 1,260 days. But going to December 17th, 2017, and then going 1,260 days brings us to May 30th, 2021. Now, this probably doesn't even matter, but I also did the checking and said, well, it's May 30th, 2021. Is that a Christian holiday or maybe a Jewish? And sure enough, it was May 30th, 2021, Trinity Sunday, which represents the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. We all know that. So that added a little more to it for me. But now, what are we talking about here exactly? As in the woman clothed with the sun and she gave birth and all that stuff. Are we talking about a real woman that's down here on earth that has an actual real baby, and that real baby is going to rule all nations? Are we talking about spiritual in some way? Are we talking about in the sky? Are we talking about a country? Which I'll be talking about in a second. I'm going to also talk about there's actually a country that kind of gave birth to another country in a way a couple months ago. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. I'll go into closer to the end. And then when I'm going to talk about, and then it talks about here also, oh, let me finish here. I think possibly it is a real woman, maybe. Maybe she did give birth to a baby, and she's in America now. And when it says that the baby's caught up, brought up to God and next to his throne, that could be like he's like protected. Like, I don't think he like all of a sudden disappeared and went up to heaven. I think maybe he's protected by God in a way. So, and we know it's in the sky. The woman's in the sky because Virgo was there, and she had Jupiter, she's pregnant with Jupiter, and gave birth to Jupiter. So we know that, and spiritually too. Now, what I'm going to be talking about, when Michael fought with the dragon. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon and the dragon's angels, and then Michael sent them down to Earth. After the 1,260 days, I believe that's when the dragon will come down to Earth. And when I'm talking about the dragon, I'm talking about the dragon, the serpent, the devil, Satan. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm just going to call him the dragon so you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Satan. I'm talking about the dragon. And I believe when the dragon gets thrown down here to Earth would be right after the 1,260 days. Now, what's going to happen on that day? Does it tell us something that's going to happen? It talks about, in the later part over here, it talks about that the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle. And I talked about this in my other video, that has to be America. America, if you ask anybody in the world, what country represents the eagle? America. They have the eagle as our bird. And we are, a strong country. So I really believe that's where she goes, possibly in the northwest of America. And I'll say why. You got the wilderness out there. Maybe she takes her baby, she goes there. And then when the dragon gets thrown down to Earth, he goes after the woman. And now, is it going to be the dragon itself? Is he going to take form of a man? Is he going to take a man's body? Or is he going to be spiritually here? I think it'll just be spiritually here, and he'll be making evil things happen. So I don't think it'll be an actual person. And the woman, I believe, possibly will be a real person if it's not a country or something else. And he'll go and he'll try to destroy the woman. He'll be, as it says, he'll be really going after her, and it tells you what he tries to do. And it talks about then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with a torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river. Then the dragon was enraged and then went to wage war against her offspring. And by that he means the people that keep God's commandments and the testimony of Jesus. So he'll go make war against that country, which I believe is Mystery Babylon, which is America. And so I believe we have, if we can depend on that, I know for sure now, I believe Revelations 12, 1 and 2 is September 23rd, Revelations 3 and 4 is definitely September 17th, and I'm thinking now Revelations 12, 5, and 6 will be also December 17th, unless, again, I can find another date, and then just calculate 1,260 days from there, so it won't. I don't think it'll change that much. But if we go to that, and we calculate here, we get May 30th, 2021, which is the Holy Trinity, which is, Trinity Sunday. And then what will happen? We just talked about it'll be something with water and river. And if the woman's in the northwest of America, by Oregon, by Washington State, by Northern California, I believe it will be the Cascadia Fault Line, which is really overdue for an earthquake. And this could be a really, really bad one, because what happens is you end up getting right here, the land goes under this part. It just keeps sliding under there, and this builds up right here for hundreds of years, and then finally snaps. And when that snaps, the water shoots up, and it shoots out this way towards Japan, and they get hit like within a day of it. But within 45 minutes, this whole area of America, Oregon, Washington State, and Northern California will get wiped out bad. If you guys remember the video in 2011, was it, when the Japan earthquake happened? Same thing happened. That's what happened. It built up like this, and it snapped. So the same exact thing happened in Japan in 2011, and then if you looked at the video, the water kept coming and coming, and it wouldn't stop. I remember watching it. I saw cars driving around. They didn't know what was going on. And this water just kept coming, and it wouldn't stop for so long. So they think possibly 100,000 plus could die, within that day alone if this happens, because it'd be so devastating. And that would represent the water. What it talks about right here, it talks about the water, serpent spewed water, like a river, to overtake the woman. That would match. And I've watched a couple things about it, even though I knew about this, but I've watched videos since talking about how bad the Cascadia Fault Line could be and how it's overdue. And ABC did a special on it, and a bunch of other networks. Because what happened right here, Cascadia Subduction Zone, this is right here. So if it slips, all this, look how huge that is. 3 states, all that water will overflow and just devastate this whole area. And here is what's happening. I showed it in some other video, the Ring of Fire. And what happens is this turns. It goes this way or it goes that way. And the one in Japan happened in 2011. Then a couple more down here happened in New Zealand. And Chile had one right after that. But this one has not moved yet. This is the Cascadia one. It has not moved yet. And it's building, building, building. And I think it'll be the devil's spirit down here on earth will cause that to happen. And then the devil, the serpent dragon, will cause war on America. So I think that's when Armageddon, that's when the rapture will begin, because heaven will lose the dragon and his angels, 1/3. So it has to be replaced of 1/3 of people on earth to go up there during the rapture. And then the tribulation, Armageddon for 7 years. And then I talked about possibly if we're talking about a country instead of a woman, because if you look here on May 14, 2018, on the 7th on the 70th anniversary of when the creation of the modern state of Israel began, our embassy opened in Jerusalem. We opened that. So could America be the woman and Israel, Jerusalem, Israel is the sun that ruled all nations with an iron rod, like it says in Revelations? Well, if it is, then I guess we have to go with May 14th, 2018 would be the start of the 1,260 days. And if we did that, May 14th, 2018, 1,260 days would be October 25th, 2021. Now, I don't know if it's talking about a real woman, literal, or spiritual, or a country. What exactly that is, I don't know. So I'm going to go right now until I find differently with Revelation 12, 5, and 6. If we find that for sure and it's clear as day, what date that falls on, then we know 1,260 days, we go from there. Because what I'm going to show you with the other prophets, one's going to be talking about St. Malachi on his 112th Pope prophecies. We're on the 112th Pope right now, and that Pope is in his 80s, and he's the last Pope. You put that together with the book of Revelation, the Revelation 12 sign, and some of the other prophets that are, everything's happening right now. This, I believe, is it. I believe in 2021 that the Cascadia fault line or something, it might not be the Cascadia fault line, it could be, who knows, it could be a Katrina type hurricane or some kind of super tornado or something to do with water, because it says it'll be water, and I believe it'll happen to America. And I believe, which I'll talk about later on, about one of my other prophets I'm talking about is Dimitri Dunaman. In the early 1990s, he talked about when America was most at peace and Russia looked like it had collapsed with communism, that he said that America would be in a civil war. He said, you can go look at his videos from the 1990s. He said this in the 1990s. They're on YouTube, Dimitri Dunaman. And he talked about America would be in a civil war. Now, a couple years earlier in 1984, Ronald Reagan had won 49 states, or 49 out of 50 states. And he lost Minnesota, which was the guy he was running against. That was where that guy was governor. And that's the only state he lost. And he only lost that state by 0.05%. So Reagan almost won 50 states a few years earlier. So that would be a country pretty much, together. And on the same page, and not anywhere near a civil war. If one president gets almost 50 states out of 50, and Russia looked like it collapsed, it was after communism collapsed and the Berlin Wall came down, and he was saying this, that America would be in a civil war and that Russia would attack us in 1 hour, just like it says in Revelation 17 and 18, I think it is. It talks about Mystery Babylon, which is clearly America, in my opinion, and it talks about Mystery Babylon will be destroyed in 1 hour. And that was written 2,000 years ago. You could not destroy a big city like Mystery Babylon or a country like Mystery Babylon, aka America, in 1 hour 2,000 years ago. You could take every single person on the earth, man, woman, and child, give them all the most weapons, updated weapons, and have them attack, and give them 1 hour, set the timer, 1 hour. They couldn't come close to destroying even a big city, let alone a country, in 1 hour. And with arrows, because it says with arrows. But now you can. You can do that, and Russia can do that right now. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think the rapture is going to begin, tribulation is going to start, 7-year tribulation, when the dragon and his angels come down here, and that'll be the start of the 7-year, and it'll be some kind of Cascadia fault line, hurricane, something devastates America. Well, we're in a civil war, and look around today. Look how bad it's getting. People talking about civil war now all over America. You cannot deny that. That's going to happen. And this guy said it when we looked like we were most at peace and Russia was not a threat. And he said this was going to happen. This is the vision he got from an angel, Dimitri Dunaman I'm talking about. And he said this was going to happen to America. And it looks like it's happening. We'll see. In 2021, I believe that's when it's going to start, because in 7 years from then is year 2028. And that's when the end will come. That's when that'll be, tribulation, Armageddon will be finished, and Jesus comes back into Israel. So that's what I think it definitely. Now I don't know if I got the exact date right. May 30th is that when the Cascade fault line goes, and then Russia attacks in September, October, December, later that year. We'll find out if that's what's going to happen. So I mean, unless you want to. If Russia nukes all of America, you know how bad it's going to be for the whole world? We're going to lose all the crops. The animals are going to starve. We're going to have no grass anymore. So we're not going to be able to make breads and stuff like that. And it's just going to be devastating. So I don't know if I'd even want to leave America. I think I just want to stay with the faith. And then I'm hopefully be raptured and come back and rule Sorry, I didn't mean that. Come back and be in Israel or wherever, with Jesus ruling, or however it's set up. As opposed to leaving now and going to New Zealand or something, and it'd just be devastating. And then you have to have the chip or whatever the mark of the beast is in your right hand. You could get that. The Bible says it's not good. That's not going to be a good thing for you if you accept that. So this is my first part of this. Then I'm gonna go and make a couple more videos about. I already talked about Saint Malachi, the 112 prophets, and I'm gonna talk about a couple more that the prophecies are all happening right now. So I don't know if I do. I'm gonna do each video. It's gonna be like Dimitri Donovan one, and that I think I'll combine them. So I'll maybe one, two, maybe 3 videos more about the other prophets. But this is what I think. I think Revelation 12. Maybe someone knows that's listening of what Revelation 12, 5, and 6 are. If I have this wrong, please let me know, and I'll check it out. And if it looks good, the date could change. But I think it's 2020. It has to be the year 2021. I really believe, because of all the other signs that I'll talk about in the other prophecies that talked about it. So see you guys in the next video. This has been Plank Time. Thanks for listening.